So, guys, this was the moment Senator Natasha was handed a 6-month suspension from the Senate. She was not even given the privilege to speak. It was like she was just bundled out of the Senate. This is a lady who has alleged that she was being harassed. And instead of these people to be pushing for suspension, their worry is that Natasha brought them to the limelight. Natasha brought the Senate to the public. And for that reason, they cannot condone her to continue sitting with them, and that she has to be suspended. Somebody raised that prayer and all of them concurred to it. Now they've asked her to go home. She is now on a 6-month suspension. Take a look at the moment when that happened on the floor of the Senate. Take a look for yourself.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Let us go into the prayers. Prayer 1.
Dear Senate President, may I be given a chance to speak?
Prayer 1. That the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led for 6 months for a total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended, for bringing the presiding officer and the entire Nigerian Senate in general to public opprobrium. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. I'd put the question. Those in support of prayer 1 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. How do you amend a prayer that is unanimous? Prayer 2, that for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or reducing the tenure of the suspension, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration by the Nigerian Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. I don't think Senator Baribe, as a landlord of the Senate, I don't think they heard what I read. So let me just repeat for clarity that for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or reducing the tenure of the suspension, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led shall submit a written apology to the Senate before the reconsideration by the Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Nay. Okay, because I thought I heard 50-50. Let me make it 40-60. That for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or reducing the tenure of suspension, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led shall submit a written apology to the Senate before any reconsideration of this case by the Senate. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Prayer 3.
Liberalism.
Prayer 3. That the Senate do suspend Senator Akpabio-Led with effect from 6th day of March 2025 from all legislative activities forward. Those in support of prayer 3 say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4, that her office be locked up for the duration of this suspension, and she should hand over all Senate properties in her possession to the clerk of the National Assembly. Those in support of prayer 4 say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5, that for the duration of her suspension, she cannot come or be seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly, including her staff. But this is normal. Those in support of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. Again, the ayes have it. Prayer 6, that our salaries and allowances, including those of our legislative aides, be suspended and withdrawal of all security details for the duration of our suspension. Yes.
It is adjunct of the legislative process. Accordingly, any investigation carried in the exercise of those powers are constitutional and competent. 4, it is interesting to note that while on one hand, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led sought in breach to restrain the Senate from doing its constitutional duties under Section 88, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, she also brought a petition to the Senate arguing that her petition on sexual harassment has merit, which must be accepted and acted upon by the Senate. Accordingly, the petition was referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petition for action. The distinguished senator cannot, on one hand, seek to prevent the Senate from doing its duties on a petition based on a motion brought against her, and on the other hand, insist that her petition on sexual harassment to the Senate be acted upon through the Ethics Committee. He who comes to equity, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, must come with clean hands. It is important to note that the motion of Senator Adaramodu seeking investigation on the conduct of Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led was referred to the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions when there was no case pending in court on the issue of seat allocation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition, having due deliberation of the matter as revealed by Senator Adeyemi Raphael Adaramodu, Senator Titus Tatenja Zam, Chamber staff, and the Sergeant at Arms, the committee recommends as follows. 1, that the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led for 6 months for her total violation of the Senate Standing Rules 2023 as amended for bringing the president, the presiding officer, and the entire Senate in general to public opprobrium. 2, that for the Senate to consider lifting the suspension or to reduce the tenure of suspension, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led shall submit a written apology to the Senate before the reconsideration by the Senate. 3, that the Senate do suspend Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led with effect from 6 March 2025 from all legislative activities forthwith. 4, that her office be locked up for the duration of her suspension and hand over all Senate properties in her possession to the clerk of the National Assembly. 5, that for the duration of her suspension, she cannot come or be seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Let us go into the prayers. Prayer 1.
Dear Senate President,
including her staff. 6, that her salaries and allowances, including those of her legislative aides, be suspended and withdraw of all security details for the duration of her suspension. And 7, that for the period of her suspension, she be barred from representing herself to the public, locally and internationally, as a Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my most distinguished and respected colleagues, on behalf of the Senate Committee on Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petition, we appreciate the Senate President and our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity granted us to serve Nigerians through the Committee of Ethics, Code of Conduct, and Public Petitions, respectfully submitted for consideration and approval. It is adjunct of the legislative process. Accordingly, any investigation carried in the exercise of those powers are constitutional and competent. 4. It is interesting to note that while on one hand, Senator Natasha Akpabio-Led sought in
This injustice will not be sustained. The pursuit for justice.
So guys, the videos you just watched were moments Senator Natasha Akpoti was suspended on the floor of the Senate. We all know how this story began and the direction is going today. It's really so sad in Nigeria, you know. This is pure humiliation of a female senator. They couldn't even give her time to talk. They did not allow. They just like, you know, it kind of just pushed her out of the Senate. This is unbelievable. In a democratic setting, why is it that under the Tinubu's government, you know, things keep going the other way around? There is no rule of law in this country. This woman has done nothing to deserve this. I think she just came out to, you know, make those allegations, which she's insisting that she wants investigations to be carried out. It's not as if she said she has concluded. Let it be investigated. Instead of them to be talking about how investigations are going to commence, they decide to push her out. It is really so sad that this is happening in Nigeria. Now, you ask me, where is the rule of law? Mr. Kenneth Okonkwo recently granted an interview. He was just citing, you know, what is happening in a Rivers State, considering the recent ruling, judgment that was released by the Supreme Court, that there is no rule of law in this country, because what is happening in Rivers State has once happened in Plateau State, where the governor presented his budget to the 6-month sitting session, and the Supreme Court said it was fine. But now in Rivers case, they are saying it's not fine because Wike is the one involved. They have the judicial in their pocket, they have the police, they have the military, they have INEC, they have basically everything in their pocket because of their position, because of their money, because of their influence and all that. But honestly, I believe that the time is coming when Nigerians will wake up to say enough of this, because honestly, we've got to say enough of all this. This country has got to be built and to allow to flourish. But with this kind of, you know, politicians we have today, this is Akpabio, who equally have problem as regards to how he was re-elected back to the Senate. You know, today everything has been covered. Look at the man, Mr. Lawal, who was the former Senate president. He also had issues. He never participated in the primaries. Today he's on the Senate floor, and so many of them, they are in the Senate. They say they are the ones making law for us, but they cannot get into power legitimately. One is just wondering, when are all these things going to end in Nigeria? Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.